Hello, my name is Tyler Radabaugh with the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program at the University of Florida, and today is April 19th, 2023. We are in Christchurch, Middlesex County, Virginia, and we are doing an oral history with Miss Carstella West. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us, Miss West. Can you please state your full name? Your full name, Miss West.
My full name, well, I'll put it like it's on my diploma. Carstella Cheryl West.
Perfect.
West. Well, get your more merit name.
Yeah. When and where were you born?
I was born in a place called Lott. Now it's Hartfield, Virginia. Not very far from where I'm living now. I'm living in Wake now. I moved to Wake when I was about 3 years old.
But your family was living in Lott?
My family was living in Lotts.
Yeah.
That's where I was born in there.
Were y'all living like right on the main road?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Is the home place still standing?
No, the house is gone, but the place is still there.
Yeah, yeah. And then were you born with the help of a midwife, or was it just family?
Midwife.
Do you know who it was?
Her name was Mrs. Carter.
Mrs. Carter. Okay, okay. And your family lived in Lott for your first 3 years of living?
Yes.
And then moved down to Wake? What, do you know why they moved down to Wake?
My father bought a house around there.
Okay. Yep. And are you the eldest of your siblings, or?
No. The eldest has passed away. My sister, Ella.
Ella.
That meant she also attended music training school.
Okay. And how many siblings did you have in total?
In total, I had 9.
9? Perfect. Can you run through the list of all of them?
Oh, yeah. My brother, Alvin, was the oldest. Then Ella, and then me, and Geraldine, and then Robert Earl, he's also passed away. And then Emma Jane, she's still living. Julia, she has passed away. And Anne, she has passed away.
Okay. Alrighty. And what elementary schools, did your parents go to school in Middlesex?
My parents? No.
No, they didn't go to school that you know of?
My father probably did. But my mother was from King and Queen County.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your mother's family name?
Holmes.
Holmes? From King and Queen?
Yeah.
Whereabout were they from?
Place called Newtown.
Newtown? Okay. And then your father was from Wake or Lott?
He was from Hartfield. That's where he was born, in Hartfield.
Yep.
They met in Philadelphia.
Really?
Yes.
Were they both up there working, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they just knew they were from the same area?
No, they weren't from us, because he was from down here and she was from King and Queen. They met in Philadelphia. That's where they met.
It's a small world.
Yeah.
What jobs were they working up there?
Just like private family and like maybe at a factory or something.
Yeah. And what elementary schools did you attend?
I attended Serena Grady School, was called.
Did all of your siblings attend there as well?
Yeah.
Do you remember some of your teachers there?
Oh, I had Mrs. Davis, Mrs. Cox. I had Miss Ruth Jackson, and and in the later years, Reverend Payne.
Okay. What was it like going to school there and knowing that the high school used to be there?
Oh, it was nice, because the high school was there when I was going to the graded school.
Okay.
It eventually burned down as we got older, but the building was there.
What do you remember about whenever it burned down? How did the community respond?
Well, everybody was very sad because, you know, at that time they had wood stoves.
Right.
And that's what caused the fire.
So it was a wood stove that started it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had heard that they saved the piano from the original high school. Do you know if that piano ended up at Syringa Graded School?
I don't know where that is.
Yeah. So how old were you whenever you started at Syringa? At Syringa.
At Syringa?
Yeah.
Oh, I was about 6.
6? Mm-hmm. All righty. And so that would have been probably around 1935.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So do you have any stories or anything from Syringa Elementary School? Any funny stories about classmates or any disciplinary stories from the teachers?
Only thing I remember, we didn't have much to work with that time. We would have recess. I think we'd have recess about 3 times a day.
Oh, really?
In the morning, at 12 o'clock, in the afternoon, we'd get out for a little while.
What would y'all do?
And we would just play ball or something like that. And then our house had burned down not too far from the school, and we used to go down there and gather up bricks and things and bring up. We made a playhouse, on the ground, made a playhouse, and we would bring little things from home, like little bottles and little things like that.
Were y'all supervised by your teachers?
No, I'm sure they were watching us through the window, but they weren't out there, no.
Gosh. Let's see. So after Syringa Graded School, you attended there up to what grade?
Up to 7th grade.
7th grade.
As far as it went then was 7th grade.
And how did you get to school there? Did you just walk?
Just walk.
Yeah, yeah. And then whenever it came time for you to go to the high school?
I had to walk to catch the bus, almost as far as I had walked to school.
Really?
Yes.
Where was the bus stop?
At Syringa.
Oh, okay.
It's a building there now where we used to stand on the porch. It was an old store. It's still there now. And we used to stand on the porch and wait for the bus at Syringa, but we had to walk all the way. Everybody, all the girls, everybody around in the neighborhood had to walk.
Was that the Y.D. Clark store?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Who picked you up? Do you remember who the driver was?
Well, it was a man by the name of Reverend Wright. And he owned the first bus that was running. Right. So his daughter, he drove some, his daughter drove some, and his sons drove some.
Okay, okay. And what churches was he pastoring at that time?
Calvary. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then a man by the name of Mr. Sherman Holmes, he used to drive the bus too.
Oh, Sherman did too? Okay.
Old man Sherman.
Yeah. Yeah. Sherman Sr.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when the school burned, was there anything left, or was it a total?
I think it was total.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they had a chapel there, and that's what we went to school in later on. After the school burned, we went to school in the chapel until we graduated.
Where was the chapel at?
It was there on the school grounds. You know what community center is that we built around it? Well, that's where the chapel used to be, right in that area.
So there was the chapel, and then Syringa Graded School, and the high school?
No, we went to school in the high school. I think we had a room in that high school, I think.
Okay.
And then after that burned, we moved into the chapel, and then the high school moved up the road to a place. No, we went up to Locust Hill. There was a school at Locust Hill. I think we attended there for a little while.
Okay.
And then we went on to the high school. To Sinclair Walker, I mean.
Okay. So you would have gone to elementary school in the big building?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's see. So I've got on here, when did you attend Sinclair Walker High School? So that would have been your 8th grade year, starting sometime in 42? Does that sound about right?
Well, I graduated from there in 46, and I went there 4 years. So, yeah, I've been 42.
42.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the teachers that you remember in your early years being there?
Oh, we had hundreds of teachers. Well, I'll mention the older ones. Mrs. Cameron, Miss Wright, Reverend Wright, Sinclair Walker, a lot of older years, Mr. Bobo, and Mrs. Ms. Jones. She was our home economics teacher. Ms. Jones and Miss Wright, yeah, she taught some too. And I can remember principal, Mr. Bozeman, one of the principals.
And then Reverend Wright was principal right after him, correct?
He was principal there sometime or another, but I don't remember whether he was before. He probably was before him, I think. And then Roger Thurston was a principal there too. Yeah.
Okay. And did all of your siblings attend Syringa and St. Clair Walker too?
Yes.
And can you tell me about any of your memories at St. Clair Walker? Anything that sticks out of your time there?
Oh, only thing we really didn't have many activities, you know. We would have a recess, and at recess, the girls would, you know, like you said, some girls didn't like each other, and we would have little bunches, and just a little pile would be here, and just a little pile would be there, and when we learned at recess, everybody getting his own pile, and then we had these girls that we didn't like, and we gave each one of them a name. So if we talking about them and they come around to school and hear us, they wouldn't know who we were talking about. So at that time, we were studying biology. And so we named, one girl, we named her Yeast, because she never cleaned her teeth.
Oh my gosh.
And one was real fat, we named her Fungus. Named her Fungus. Then another one was fat, we named her Mole.
Wow.
So that was our names for those girls. But that's almost, you just walk around, walk down to the, it was a swamp down the back. We'd go halfway down there and walk around. But we didn't have any ball teams, anything like that. Not for the girls. The boys used to play some basketball outside, but we never had no competing teams.
They didn't have baseball or anything while y'all were there?
For what?
Any baseball teams while you were there?
No, just among ourselves, you know.
Did they have the baseball field in the back?
Yeah, it's a field back there.
Yeah, but not hosting any other high schools or anything?
No.
Yeah. And where were y'all, you would just go all over the school grounds for recess?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. So what buildings were part of the campus whenever you were there?
When I was there, that white building that sits out there, that was there. That's where Sinclair Walker had his, he taught us geometry. No, algebra. Algebra. That's what it was, algebra. That's what he taught us. I know he used to always say, those algebraic symbols.
Yeah.
And he taught us that over there. And the other half really wasn't finished. He used to store some hotels and some lumber and stuff like that down there. And
did they have shop class down there, or was it just for storage?
It was just for storage. But the girls, we would get together and go down and eat our lunch down there and play around. And I remember, during that time was the war. And we were down there one day eating lunch. I don't know what made me do this, but I got a piece of board about that long, a stick, and I said, I'm gonna show you how the boys are fighting. And I would jump up on the bench with this stick, then I'd jump down behind the table, and I said, pow! Then I'd leave there, and I'd go to it. And one girl just laughed, and the tears just rolled down her cheeks.
Wow. What was it like going to school during the war?
Well, I mean, it didn't bother us too much. We knew it was out there.
Yeah.
You know.
Did a lot of the older boys leave to go into the Army?
No.
Yeah. And do you remember what the county was like at the time? Were people worried or?
No, not too much.
Yeah.
No.
And then after the war, how were the veterans received?
Oh, fine, 'cause I married one. Oh, yeah, they were received well, you know.
And what was your husband's name?
Alfred.
Alfred. And when did y'all get married?
In May.
In May? Would it have been right after you graduated high school?
Yeah, I had graduated from high school.
Yeah.
When we got married, yeah.
Yeah, maybe a couple years after or right after?
In 47.
Oh, in 47. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Where did y'all get married at?
It was a building in Saluda.
Okay.
Just before we get into Saluda was a pastor that lived in there in the parsonage. The building, it's an old house still sit there in there now on the right. And that's where we got married, and my brother and his wife were our witnesses.
Wow. Was that Antioch's?
He was the pastor of Antioch.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reverend Gales.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And how did you get to the high school? Did you have a bus driver take you to the high school in Cook's Corner?
Oh yeah, we had the bus driver in Cook's Corner. I mean, we had, like I say, we had to walk out to catch the bus, but we had one that would travel the main road, you know, start down in Deltaville and come all the way through, but different ones had to walk out to the bus. Yeah.
Okay. And then which teachers impacted your experience most at Sinclair Walker, and what years were you in their classes?
Well, I liked all my teachers, and all of them seemed to be, you know, for our best interest. Only thing I didn't care too much for the principal.
I've heard that before.
No, I didn't. He just had ideas of his own, and he wouldn't let us have a yearbook. He wouldn't let us do a yearbook, and he wouldn't let us appoint valedictorians or salutatorians. He just picked the 3 that had the highest grades in the class to do the speaking. And he would let us speak out. He wouldn't let us pick our topic. And he told us that instead of talking about a whole lot of things that wasn't necessary, it was things around the school that was necessary to be done. We should talk about that. And I also told him, I can see myself standing on the stage pointing, there's a big hole on the right front side of this school.
Oh my God.
And that was my graduation speech.
Really?
He made us all talk about something that needed to be done around the school.
And was the graduation, I guess, held in the auditorium? The graduation was held in the auditorium?
Yes.
Yeah. How many people do you think attended? Was it a full auditorium?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Did Principal Eddie Wood clash with other faculty members too that you can remember?
Did he do what?
Did he have disagreements with other faculty members too?
Well, they got along pretty good because he knew his place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And was he from the county?
Yeah, his family was. He had moved away and then he came back.
Okay. Where did the Woods live?
Well, they lived down around in Segregated. We're down in there. They were kin to some people and lived down in there. And then his son died not too long ago. He used to live in Urbana.
Okay.
And he went down to the drugstore. He dropped dead down there. It's been about 1 or 2 years ago.
Okay. And then what sorts of role models or mentors did you have in school?
I'm not going to say I had any.
Yeah?
No.
Not even a couple of the older students that you might have looked up to? Or maybe your older siblings that would have been in the grades above you?
No, no,
Yeah.
I never had no role models.
And then, what do you remember about lunchtime? So that would have been before they had the cafeteria addition built. So y'all, where would y'all eat at?
Where would we eat? I guess in the auditorium, I imagine, or somewhere around in there. And we had some tables, and the kitchen was probably big, so dining room was back there.
Okay.
And they, some classes at a time. So I think we would eat in the dining room back next to the kitchen.
Did they serve hot lunches? Do you remember some types of the different types of food that they served?
Oh yeah, macaroni and cheese for one. What else did we have? Maybe a hamburger or some soup or something like that.
Anything that they were particularly known for, where the students would look forward to it?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember any of the cafeteria workers' names?
Yes, I remember a cook. My name was Ms. Mabel Tolliver. She was a cook. And who else? I think she cooked the most time that I was there. Ms. Tolliver. Yeah.
Do you remember any jeans supervisor? The jeans supervisor? That would have been Miss Gladys White. Do you remember her at all?
Miss Gladys White? Sure.
Yeah.
I remember her, yeah.
Did she make regular visits to the school?
Yeah, she would come in.
Yeah.
And this man was superintendent named Mr. Forrest. He would come in because he would slip in. He didn't even know he was in the room. He'd have to look around. He's standing back.
Oh my gosh. What was y'all's relationship like with him?
It was fine. He didn't have much to say to us. Whenever we saw him, we tried to be quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see here.
Well, I'll tell you one incident that happened. We used to have like a junior league or a junior council or something where we used to meet once a month, all the whole student body. And once a year, each class would pick members from their class to be officers. So I remember this year, last year was then my senior year. We were over at Mr. Sinclair Walker's class, in that building. And all at once, this principal, Mr. Bozeman, he had a class, and he had the senior class. He broke in through the door, we were looking, and he said, you all got to vote. You got to vote now. If you don't, you're not gonna pass. We didn't know, we was just sitting there looking, and Mr. Walker stood back in the corner, and he was looking. You got to vote now, and vote for his class. We voted for his class members, and his class members won. And when Reverend Wright heard the stunt he had pulled, Reverend Wright actually cried.
Really?
I can see him now sitting there with that handkerchief at his face. He cried because he had pulled such a stunt on us to make his class win.
Was Professor Bozeman like a class sponsor for one of the classes, or?
He was a teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you remember any May Day celebrations up in Cook's Corner?
I said I was going to look. I got a picture in my house somewhere in one of my photo books where they had the May Day celebration outside and had this big crowd of people, and my mother was standing in the crowd with a hat on.
Wow.
And I was going to look, see if I could find that picture. Oh yeah, we would have a lovely time May Day. Yeah. Yeah.
Did the elementary schools close that day?
No, the elementary schools had their own May Day.
Okay, so you would have had your own down in Syringa.
Yeah, down in Syringa, the girls have on their white dresses and they danced the maypole, and we had a good time May Day.
Yeah. Do you ever remember any parades at Cook's Corner for May Day?
Parade. Yes, we had May Day. We had parades. Yeah.
Did y'all make floats?
Make what, floats? Mm-hmm. Oh, they had everything. I tell you, every kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What type of athletic events?
Well, they would maybe have a baseball game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many people do you think showed up at some of those May days?
Oh, I imagine 200-300 people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot
Wow.
of people, yeah.
And then what were assemblies or extracurricular activities like?
Well, we didn't really have any. We'd have this meeting. I think it was a junior league, they called it. Mm-hmm. Have the meeting with all the students. But we really didn't do too much.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. And then what were some of your biggest accomplishments in school?
Just getting good grades, for one thing, mm-hmm. and being valedictorian, and, you know, that's about all I can remember, you know.
Did you have a favorite subject?
No, I liked all my subjects. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a favorite one.
Yeah.
No.
What was education like in your home? Did your parents really support education?
Well, that means you get your homework.
Yeah.
Make sure that you do your homework. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was always left-handed. My daddy tried his best to make me do right-handed. He couldn't do it. So my mother told him, said, "Pernell, leave that child alone." And I was it. I'm still left-handed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I guess, what did you do right outside of high school? You got married?
I got married.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And started a family?
Started my family.
Yep.
Yeah.
So did y'all buy a house down in Wake?
Huh?
Did y'all buy a house down in Wake?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever go to any college or take any classes?
I went to a community college for a year.
Which community college?
Oh, in Rappahannock.
Okay.
Yeah. I took up typing.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long after high school would that have been?
Oh, that was a long time after.
Yeah.
I guess I had about 4 or 5 children, mm-hmm. all mature, practically grown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And which churches? What's your home church?
Grafton Baptist Church, Hartfield.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And did you grow up going there?
Yes.
And where were y'all baptized at?
Down at Burham Wharf.
Okay, in Locust Hill?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Until later years, and then finally they had a pool at church. Uh-huh. And before that, they stopped using that. Then they would go up to Calvary, to their pool, and have baptism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How old were you when you were baptized?
I guess I was about 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would have to walk. We'd go to Sunday school, we'd have to walk. Mm-hmm. And I remember one Sunday we were coming from Sunday school. This man had this big farm right before you get to the school. Uh-huh. And we got out there, all his cows and things in the road.
Oh, gosh.
And we were afraid to cross. And it was this man used to walk up down the road, and he had a bad hand. He'd carry like a ball or something in his hand, you know. And he was coming toward us, and we had stopped. So he came around through the crowd of animals and told us, "Okay, now wait, just stand still a minute." And he told them, get on, get on. Some of them went across and some of them didn't. After they thinned out, he said, "Now y'all come on through." And we went on through. He just had there with his ball in his hand.
So was Grafton your father's home church too? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then do you know your mom's home church in King and Queen?
First Mount Olive, I think.
First Mount Olive?
First Mount Olive, up in Newtown.
Newtown, okay.
There's 2 Mount Olive. One is first and one is second. I think hers was first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And did y'all go to church every Sunday?
Practically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least Sunday school.
Yeah. Let's see here. What do you remember about hearing news about integration nationally and in the state? And what was your own experience with integration? So this would have been whenever your children were going through.
Yeah, well, I was kind of wary of it because I had some friends that were working in the school system, and they were treating them kind of badly, you know, throwing stuff at the houses. When they wanted to send their children to the school, they were like, you know, throwing things into the windows and like that. So I was kind of wary of that.
What, could you elaborate more on those stories? Could you elaborate more on those stories?
Well, it was just a couple of women I knew very well.
In the county?
In
the county?
Yeah, but I think both of them did now. But anyway, she opted for her child to go to the white school, and it cost her job. And then the other one, they were throwing things at our windows and doing things like that, you know. And I mean, that didn't sit too well with me.
Right.
Yeah.
What did your children think about it all?
Well, they don't talk about it. They don't talk about it much.
Yeah. Yeah. And did they end up going to any of the white schools? Or did they end up going to the white schools, or did they? Oh,
my son, no, Larry didn't go to the white school. Nancy went. I think she went to the white school. And most of the younger ones did. Yeah, all the younger ones did.
Did she go after total integration?
What?
Did she go after total integration?
I think so. And then my youngest daughter, you know, when they built those schools, Rappahannock Central, then they built Wilton.
Right.
So that's where the black children went to Wilton. That's where my daughter went for a while. And then they had Rappahannock Central, and I think they had another one up at the high school called, I know what that was called. That was grade school too. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what did you think about the national debate on integration? Did you hear about what was going along?
Yeah, I heard it. I just heard it. I listened to it, but you know, I didn't make much conversation with anybody about it. But everybody was talking about it, you know. This, that, and the other. Well, we just see what happened. But the only thing was, when the name came up for the school, the name was named Middlesex High came up. Well, they didn't want to give the black school Middlesex High. So they gave that to the white school. So that's how we got Middlesex Training School. That's how we came. That's how we got that.
Yeah. And whose idea was it to change it to Sinclair Walker High School? Was that the parents or?
No, it was the officials. Yeah, most of the officials did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. In what way did your experiences at Sinclair Walker High School affect your life socially, educationally, or civically following your graduation?
Well, I don't think Sinclair Walker had anything to do with my life socially. I didn't have much of a social life. I didn't get to my prom. That's one thing I regret. Because, you know, my parents would not let me go out. And my cousin told me she and her cousin was going to pick her up, and she was going to pick me up. And I got dressed, and I think I sat by the window till 12 o'clock that night waiting for her.
Oh, wow.
And he didn't come after her. So we didn't go to our prom. That's one thing I wish I had gone to.
Where was prom held at?
It was at school.
Was it in the auditorium?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And was it just for the senior class, or did the juniors get to go
The
too?
juniors too.
Okay.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
had juniors and seniors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what was your occupation after you finished school? You just...
I just went out and maybe did some housework.
Mm-hmm.
Worked for my daddy in the fields.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Picking tomatoes. Picking cucumbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What all did he farm?
Huh?
What all did he farm?
Mostly was just vegetables and some corn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he'd raised pigs, he'd raised corn.
Mm-hmm.
And he really didn't farm too many crops, you know, to take to like do now soybeans, because he didn't have the combine and all that stuff at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But he did tomatoes and cucumbers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And did any of your family members work on the water too?
Oh yeah, my daddy, big oysterman.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband used to go down New York to this, what you call them, big Menhaden fishing.
Uh-huh.
He used to go down there and work down there.
Mm-hmm.
My daddy went 2 years, and he got a bit too old when we could go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And did you have much family up north?
Much what?
Much family up north?
Oh, yeah, a lot of family, a lot of my people up north. My mother's brother married up there, and he had children. And then mostly down here, when they graduated, my cousins and all, they went up north. I still have cousins up north.
What areas did they move up to?
Huh?
What areas did they move up to?
Oh, most of them went to Philadelphia.
Philadelphia?
And some of them in Baltimore.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any folks in New Jersey or?
Yeah, some in New Jersey too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 And then, what are your earliest memories of Cook's Corner or hearing about Cook's Corner?
Well, I heard a lot about it, but I didn't go because I wasn't allowed to go.
Yeah.
But after it got sold, a bunch of us used to get together sometimes on Saturday night and go out. We would mostly go to Herman Wake's.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we might stop in at Martha Wake's.
Right.
But we didn't go to Lynn Davis.
Why not?
I don't know. It just, I don't know. We just never did go to Lynn Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my children went after, you know, they got grown and wanted to go, but we didn't go. We'd go to Herman Wake's, and as far as we'd go.
Yeah.
And Miss Martha Wake's, we'd go in there.
And was Miss Frances Jackson at the corner there?
Yeah, we used to have our choir Christmas parties there at Miss Frances.
Oh, really? For Grafton?
Yeah, for Grafton. Yeah, we used to have our choir Christmas parties there.
So what all did Miss Martha Wake sell in her store?
Well, same as other beer and I guess some snacks and I don't know what else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you know if Lynn Davis had a gas station at his place too?
I don't remember a gas station. I know Miss Frances had one, but I don't remember Lynn Davis having a gas station.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Do you remember any other businesses across the street from Frances and Mr. Lynn Davis?
Well, there was a man there who used to have something like a little tasty freeze or something, and then he used to run a ball game, have ball games there or something, somewhere around there.
Was that Mr. Butler Harris?
Go to him. Huh? Yeah.
Butler Harris?
Yeah, but I never did go to that.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And did you ever hear about his theater?
A theater? Where?
He had it right there at the intersection, across from Lynn Davis. It was just short-lived.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had a... Well, I just heard he had some business and stuff. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't go.
Yeah. And Herman Wake's, when would people meet at the Juke Joint there? When would people meet at Herman Wake's?
Where would they meet?
When? Would it be during the weekends only?
Mostly on some might go Friday, mostly Saturday nights.
Mostly Saturday? How many people do you remember in there?
Oh, it was crowded. I mean, I was in there because, you know, he played music and different ones on the dance and stuff like that. Yeah, he used to have a crowd.
Do you remember any of the musicians that came through there?
No, I don't remember their names.
Yeah, yeah. And what about Butler Harris's newspaper?
Butler Harris newspaper?
The Middlesex Review?
I remember that, but not too much about it. I know we had, you know, maybe, I don't think we don't think we subscribed to it. But I do remember the name.
Yeah. Let's see. What all did Miss Frances Jackson sell?
Oh, I know one thing. She had a big bubble gum, one of these bubble gum things that you put your money in. She had one of them sitting on the counter. I think Norman has got, I don't know whether he got that or not. No, you do Norman Robinson?
Yeah.
Well, he was kin to her. He was her nephew. In fact, his mother was, his foster mother was her sister. And I think he inherited most of her stuff out of the thing. I think he got those booths that she had in there.
Oh, wow.
And all that stuff. And she might have had a few grocers in there. Yeah.
And then, do you remember Dr. Tony very well?
Oh, he was my doctor. Yeah, I remember Dr. Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Polson, of course, too.
Oh, of course, Dr. Polson. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember any stories about them?
No, not anything that's significant.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you remember Mr. LeVar's place down there close to Herman Wake's?
Oh, it's got that big high-rise thing up there. Yeah, I remember when his wife moved in there, and because I didn't have too much dealing with them.
Right.
I did go to, when they were selling out, I did go to their sales they had. But no, I didn't have much dealing, but I do remember them.
Where did where did your family go and shop or do things on the weekend?
Oh, that was Urbana.
Urbana?
Urbana, where my car would break down every week.
Oh, really?
I had a '57 Ford, among other cars. And look, like every Saturday, I'd get the children together and we'd go to Urbana, something would happen to the car. One day the brakes had stopped working, and one day it caught a fire. And it was just something.
Oh, my goodness.
And there was one man in the neighborhood, he said, I know one thing, he said, if I'm going up the road and I see Carstella going up the road, I'll turn around and go the other way because I know she's going to break down.
Oh, my gosh. What was his name? Do you remember?
Horace King.
Horace King?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh. Do you remember Washington Thornton's store in Urbana?
Yeah, yes, I remember that. Yeah.
What did he have in there? What was his business like?
I don't know. I didn't go in there much. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what he had. I know he had that store down by the water. But I don't know what he, I guess tobacco and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah. And did you ever go to the movies in Urbana?
Once in a while. I remember the first time I went there, this black motion picture played, was Cabin in the Sky, I believe.
Cabinet in the Sky?
I think it was Cabin in the Sky. It was the first motion black one that I went to there. And they let us sit downstairs.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. How old were you then,
It was crowded upstairs. I was in my teens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometime in the 40s.
Huh?
Sometime in the 40s, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. And then, did you guys ever go to any other theaters at the drive-in up in Warner?
Yes, we used to go up there too, once in a while up there. I used to like to go up there.
Yeah. And then, did you ever go to any other juke joints in the county?
No.
No?
No, I didn't even go to Bill. You remember Bill Garnett's?
Down in Hartford?
I didn't even go to Bill Garnett's.
Really?
No, I never did go in there.
Was that just because of your parents, or just because you didn't want to?
I didn't really want to go.
Uh-huh.
I know my daddy used to go there sometimes, and I know after I got married, I know my husband went over there. They'd go and play pool, stuff like that. But I never did go in there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So they had a pool hall there.
Huh?
They had a pool table there?
She had a pool room. Yeah, we had a shoot pool. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember hearing anything about Miss Mary Francis's outside of Urbana?
Oh yeah, I've heard her. I've heard of her too. I've never been in her place. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, let's see. Do you know any other black-owned businesses that your family would have been supporting whenever you were younger?
Down in Delaville, it was my husband's wife married a guy. He had a little store down there.
Was it down in Amberg?
They called it Amberg then. Yeah, he had a little store right down there. Matter of fact, I don't know who tore the store down, but my husband always was gathering up junk. He got the store board that they had out front with the name on it.
Oh, really?
And his daughter told us, she said, I want that.
Oh, my gosh.
I said, so I didn't say anything to her. So later on, a guy that was kin to her was getting the things out of his house. And I had been to his house. They had a nice house. His wife died, and then he died, and they would clean up the house. And they had this animal there. It was big brass. I don't know. I thought it was a leopard or something. And sitting by the fireplace. So I didn't know they were cleaning the house out, you know. So later on I heard, and she told me her name was Nan. You know, I got that. I said, oh, I want that. I said, I wish that I had known y'all were cleaning it out. I said, I tell you what, I'll trade you the animal for the board. You want the board now, you
Oh, my gosh.
She said, no, but I want that board, but I don't think I'm working with an animal.
Yeah.
But I said, well, I'll trade you. That's the only way you're going to get it.
And that's Victor Burrell's store?
Huh?
Is it Victor Burrell's store down there? Yeah. And there was another juke joint close by to him. Do you ever hear about that?
Close to
Victor's.
Victor Burrell? No, I heard about a joint, but I did hear about some houses. They used to run a house down there. A lot of people used to go there, you know.
To party?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember this man was telling my mother that he'd go in there and she was selling whiskey, you know. And he said, you know, Miss Mary, they try to get you because they got this glass with all this glass in it. You see the little whiskey glasses that's got all this glass inside, and you pull it, it looks like you got a lot of liquor, but most of it's glass inside. He said, they give you this glass, all this old glass in it. I remember we had a lot, Mama had a lot of those whiskey glasses.
Really? Do you think that could have been, was it a Thurston that had a house like that?
No, her last name was White.
White. Okay.
Yeah.
You remember her first name?
Thurston she had a store. Miss Sue Thurston had a store. In fact, she had a store in our neighborhood, right where my niece lived.
Is that in Wake?
It's Wake, on Barracks Mill Road.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Miss Sue Thurston had two stores?
She didn't have both of them at the same time. I think she had one in Amberg first, then she had the one up here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did she sell like groceries and stuff?
Oh yeah, she'd sell groceries and everything, and she loved old possums and stuff like that.
Really?
And if anybody said, I shot a possum, what you with it. Bring it to me. She used to love possums.
Really? To eat them?
Huh?
To eat them? To eat the possums?
Who?
Miss Sue Thurston.
Oh, yeah, she loved them.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody say they're good, but they're greasy. I don't want none. I never had no possum.
Yeah.
And she tickled me. You know, back at that time, they just had people go around and the store merchant would order stuff for them. They were called drummers.
Drummers.
Drummers, and the store merchant would order things from them, you know.
Uh-huh.
And she'd do her laundry and put it, hang it out on the line. And she used to get these, you used to get these feed bags with pigs on them. I don't know if you've seen them or not, but that's the way people used to, when you get food for their pigs and things, come in cloth bags. And she used to take them and make underwear out of them.
Oh, really?
So she had a pair hanging on the line one day, and the drummer went in and told her, "Oh, I see that your laundry hanging out with the pig running down the leg."
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, indeed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything significant about your time here in Middlesex, maybe early on even, that you'd like to share with us?
That time I was in Middlesex?
Yeah. Anything from your experience here in Middlesex that you'd like to share?
I can't think of anything right now. I can't.
Were your parents part of any civic organizations or any, were they a part of the NAACP in Middlesex?
My daddy belonged to the American Legion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that would have been the one up here in Cook's Corner as well?
Yeah, one in Cook's Corner.
Yeah. And then what was your mom's occupation?
She was just housewife. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she did do some domestic work too. She worked for a family from Richmond. He was a doctor. He lived down on Mill Creek. And she worked down there a long time. Then he used to live in Richmond, come down on weekends. And he had two daughters. One was named Sarah, and the oldest one was named Betsy. Elizabeth called her Betsy. And of course, my mom has passed now, and Dr. Masters and his wife, they're passed too. But anyway, they've sold their house down there, but she lives in New Jersey. And she said my mother took care of her when she was a baby, and she really was fond of my mother. And she was trying to find a family. So she was listening to the radio one day, you know, has this online church, and she heard the name Neil Wake. And she knew that was my mother's maiden name was Wake. And so she got in touch with different ones in church and all, and she found us.
Wow.
And now she comes down every summer where she wants to come and want us to come visit her, and she had us to supper this summer. She said, "Yeah, Mary really took care of me. I was real fond of Mary."
What was the doctor's last name?
Masters.
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 Yeah.
Yeah.
And ancestrally, is all of your dad's family from Middlesex?
No, some of them from Gloucester. His mother was from Gloucester.
What was her name?
Julia Milton.
Milton.
Yeah. Have you heard of Scipios in Gloucester? You heard of Club 14?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I think he used to run Club 14, Scipio did.
Okay.
And then he left out of there, and then, he's got a place in Gloucester down in near, somewhere near, you've heard of Moody's. He's got a place down there, a home there, rather he got a home down there. So he had a family reunion there the year before last. I don't know what he's gonna have this year. But he had a family reunion down there because his mother was my grandmother's sister. Yeah.
Yeah. So Scipio was kin to your mom? Scipio was kin to your mom or dad?
He was kin to my dad.
Oh, your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His mother was my dad's sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did y'all ever go down to his business to see him?
No, we didn't. We weren't going out at that time when he was running them clubs and all. We never did go down there. I mean, some of the older ones went to pass through, but I never did go down there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But yes, indeed. He used to come over to see my aunt. I don't know if you remember. Oscar West used to carry the mail a long time ago. Down in our way. His name was, that was my dad's sister's husband, okay. Oscar West.
And he carried mail in Syringa?
He used to carry the mail, yeah. And then after he got older and he wanted to retire, so I carried it for a while.
Oh, really?
I'd go down to Mill Creek and down to Locust Creek and back, down.
What years do you think you did that?
Huh?
What years do you think you did that?
Oh, my Lord. I don't know. I guess I could count back, but I don't know. I guess, who used to ride with me? Nancy didn't ride with me. Some of my grandchildren rode with me, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to take the mail.
Yep. All righty, if you can't think of anything to add, then I think we're all good here.
I was just trying to think of some other place. No, I can't think of another place.
Oh, I wanted to ask you about your experience at the school building in Locust Hill. Were y'all up in the second floor of the building?
Well, really, we didn't go. Our children went. My children went.
Okay.
Because when that building burned, my children had to move up there. Nancy and all of them had to move up there.
Okay.
Because we didn't go. We went straight from the grade school up to the Sinclair Walker.
So they went to Mill Road?
They called it Mill Road, but didn't they have a Mill Road down in Mill Road? I mean, down in the
Down closer to Haley's, yeah.
That was an old school down in there.
Yeah, but that one burned too.
That was burned, yeah. So they went to Mill Road. They went there. And I remember one time they said they had a PTA meeting, and some parent was kicking and said they didn't have enough light at the school. And this woman from the neighborhood, she said, I don't know why they're doing that. Why can't they bring a lamp from home? They didn't take 2 or 3 lamps from home and bring up so they have some light.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, indeed.
And so did you go to school in Locust Hill in between?
No, I never went to Locust Hill.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
And we had one person that took our graduation picture. And I never get in touch with that person, but he's dead now, and his brother's dead. I don't know what they did with the picture. I never did see that picture. He was a tailor. I remember his name was Charles Taylor. He was a brother to a guy in our class. And he took that picture, and I never did see it.
Huh.
And I don't know where it is now.
So how many classmates did you have in your graduating class?
Well, I reckon I had about 18.
Was it more women than men?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's about 7 or 8 of us living now.
Wow. Wow.
One girl, I guess, did you know Dan Lockley? Yeah. His wife was in my class. She's still living, she's in New York.
Okay.
And I guess you knew the Paytons. Wardell Payton, you knew Wardell Payton. Well, his sister was in my class. I think she's still living in Hampton. I have another girlfriend living in...
Could you run down the names of all your classmates that you can remember?
Okay. Payton, Cleora Payton.
Cleora Payton?
Yeah. Mary Jones. Hannah Coleman. Of course, she's Hannah Lockley. She married Dan Lockley. And Alice Smith. Mm-hmm. Her name, Alice Smith, S-E-A-Y. How many is that, 4?
4, yep.
I think that's all. That's us and me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the boys, you know, I don't think there's any boys living at all.
Mm-hmm.
That was in my class. I don't really know about Philip Braxton, whether he's still living or not. He might be, but I think the rest of them are dead.
Okay.
That was Theodore Williams and Kenneth Redmond and Dan Lockley and Horace King, I think, was in my class, in some of my classes, and but all of them are dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty. Unless you can think of anything else. That's all the questions we've got on here.
Well, I can't think of anything else. I know Mr. Walker used to rule us with a big switch. He never would hit us with it, but he would hit the table.
Oh, really?
We'd get to talking sometimes, you know, making noise. And he would just take that big switch and hit the table. Everybody would just stop. And he'd just looking right at us, you know. Yeah.
And I always heard that he used to read the newspaper while he was driving.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know. How could he do that?
I don't know.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Because, you know, he knew all our parents. You call me, Wick so-and-so and so-so, Wick so-and-so. Yes, indeed. And Mrs. Cameron, she always was telling us about something. And let me tell you one thing. Let me tell you one thing. That's where she talked, you know.
She was from up New York, right?
I don't know where Miss Cameron came from. Mm-hmm. She was married to Joe Cameron, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I remember in grade school, when I first went to grade school, you know, they used to have 2, 3 grades, maybe sometimes in one room. Mm-hmm. But my brother was at school too. He was in the same room I was in. And I had been looking for him that day, trying to find him. Where is Billy in among this crowd? So after a while, all of us were sitting in the room, and I spied him. There, old Billy's sitting way over there. I haven't seen him for a long time. And the children, they were looking at it. So after what the teacher told me, say, we don't do that in school. You don't do the outburst in class.
Yeah. Did you have a library at Syringa Elementary School?
A library, no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But you had one up at Sinclair Walker.
Oh, yeah. There was a small one up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I was up in high school, Mrs. Jones was teaching me. And we used to have like home economics class, you know. And children used to do a lot of sewing. Something. I never did bring anything to sew or make anything. So one day she told me, she said, I bought a dress one day that belonged to one of my sisters, and the material was just as rotten as it could be. And I was sewing it. Every time I sew a seam and break the thread, it would tear again.
Oh, gosh.
So she told me, she said, you didn't do much with that dress you had. So you make a cake, and I'll make up for your year's grade. So I had to make a cake. So another girl helped me. We made a cake. And I think, what did we put on it? Some kind of frosting put on. I don't know what it was, but I had to make this cake. And I remember one day we were in class. The boys were in there for something. I don't know what they were in there for. And after the class was over, you know, the auditorium, the doors would fold between the room and the auditorium. You know, the doors would fold. You could fold them all back. Fold them. So the doors were folded that day because the teacher was in the other room. And when the boys left out of our room, I don't know what made them do it, all of them just took a beeline running and just ran right into these doors and just knocked them all apart. I don't know why they did that.
Oh my gosh.
I remember Eugene. You remember Eugene Smith?
Mm-mm.
Eugene, he was my band.
Mm-hmm.
He was a ringleader. And just run right into the doors and just knocked them all right down.
Was he older or younger than you?
They're the same age.
Yeah. Was he in your class?
Huh?
Was he in your class?
Yes, he's in my class, Eugene Smith. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And
oh, another guy too that's in my class. He's still living.
oh, who's that?
He's a Harges.
Okay.
He lives up in Churchview somewhere. What's his first name? Oh, I can't think of his first name. But he's a Harges. Yeah. Elmo Harges.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did y'all do in the mornings before school?
Oh, we always had devotionals. First thing we had to do was say pledge allegiance to the flag outside. Then when we go inside, we would have devotionals every morning. All the classes together.
Would that be in the auditorium?
Yeah, in the auditorium.
Who would lead? Who would lead the devotions?
Different one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a different teacher on every day, every day. Yeah.
Where was the flagpole outside?
Somewhere up front. That's all I know. Yeah. Yeah, with the bell ring, everybody get in line. Pledge to the flag. Then you go into the auditorium, have your devotionals before you go to your classroom.
And how would the teachers discipline y'all?
I know one day he scraped some chewing gum off the floor.
Who was that made the student do that?
Huh?
Who was that? Which teacher?
Eddie Wood.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes they would, I don't know what they would do, because, different ones, sometimes they would make them clean the toilet or do something.
Did the students have to clean up the school?
No, I think they had somebody coming in to clean the school. Yeah.
Did you help clean the school whenever you were going in Syringa?
No, no, I didn't do that. Maybe some of the boys did, but I didn't, no.
Yeah.
And I remember at Syringa, you don't know Reverend Payne. He was a pastor of Calvary for a while. Yeah, he was out teaching, my last teacher down at Syringa. And every evening before when the school closed, we had to sing this song. And as soon as the boys passed the coats, or girls passed the coats, pass your coat around, get your coat on, get your books, and then you sing, now the day is over, night is drawing nigh, shadows of the evening steals across the sky. Oh, man. And then we add on to it, the girls may stand.
Oh, my goodness.
That's what we added on, because he would say, after we sing, he said, the girls may stand, the girls march out, and the boys march out.
Wow. Did you have to say Pledge of Allegiance there too in the morning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember Emmanuel Mansfield coming down to Syringa School?
Who?
Or Peter Mansfield?
I remember him, but I don't remember him at the school. But I knew the lady that was the sister, got a house right down below me now. Yeah.
Yeah. Did he ever sing at Grafton?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sang in Grafton. What was that song? Was it Alma Mater?
Yeah.
Alma Mater, yeah. Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Did you ever hear any stories about the bus stalling on the way up the hill in Syringa?
No.
Yeah, I had heard about the boys getting out and pushing the bus a little bit up the hill after it stalled out.
Oh, yeah. I know there's one child, when he got to school, someone said, our bus did something. I remember he said, our bus did something. Yes, indeed.
Any other funny stories that you can remember from back in the day at school?
Oh, I remember this guy, he was a student at school. A lot of times he didn't come to school, or else he would leave school early and go home, and he lives over in Bob's Hole. He'd go home and get his father's horse and meet us, and we meet us, so we had to walk. We leave grade school, get halfway up the road, there he was with this horse, and he knew we were afraid of this horse. And he was stupid with it, because he would right up to you, you know, and his children running this way and that way. And I remember one day we ran up into the, you know, they had the white school that's Ringo was built just like our school, two-story school. And and the man was there cleaning because school was over. And we ran up in the school because the doors were open. And he ran the horses all the way up the steps.
Oh my goodness.
And then one day, we were down the road, we looked back up on the hill, there was Nathan with this horse, and we just took out right into the war. We just...
What was his name with the horse?
Nathan Henry.
Nathan Henry.
Yeah.
Gosh, and he didn't go into the school building with the horse.
He didn't go in, but he would go run him all the way up the steps. Lord, I just wanted to see a bear, see him and that horse.
How old were y'all then, do you think?
I guess we were about 6 or 7.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe 8 or 9, something like that. We were small.
How old was Nathan?
He was about, I guess he was about 10 or 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did y'all ever get in trouble at the White High School?
No, just once in a while. We didn't do it often. Just whenever we'd see him, we'd run up in there.
Yeah.
Then he'd take him and go on back home. He lived over in Bob's Hole. He still got a son, Gregory. I don't know if you know Gregory Henry.
I heard it.
Yeah.
Any other May Day stories?
No, nothing spectacular happened on May Day. We would just, we'd have a white dress festival that day. And we'd do the maypole, which they stopped doing that a long time ago.
Yeah. Do you remember hearing about Irene Morgan in Saluda?
Oh, yeah.
What was that like?
Oh, you know, we just heard it. That's all. Just heard it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything. Oh, did y'all ever celebrate Black History Month, or did you have a Black History Week where you did some special lessons or anything?
No, we didn't do that. No.
Do you remember a February 22nd program?
February 22nd? What was that?
Just have heard about that being an event at the school.
No. No. I remember we used to put on plays, different plays, but they don't do that anymore either. You find a book with a play in it. And I know there was one play, this couple got married, and I married this guy in this play. And yeah, I used to like that.
Who would direct the plays?
Huh?
Who would direct the plays?
The teachers. The teachers would, yeah.
Do you remember your what it was like whenever they built Rappahannock Central?
What it was like?
Yeah. So your some of your children would have gone to Rappahannock
Yeah,
Central?
Nancy. No, Loris Jean. Loris Jean went there, my oldest daughter. Mm-hmm. And I remember she was in some program they had up on the stage one night, and she fell backwards off stage.
Oh my goodness. All righty. Is there anything else that you wish to share?
Can't think of anything else.
Yeah.
Are you going to interview Nancy?
Yes. Yeah, they might be interviewing her now.
Oh, somebody's doing that now?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I think so.
All right. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Miss Carstella. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I hope I've been some help to you.
Yeah.